Hello, this is Jim Tolles. I'm a spiritual teacher and I blog regularly at spiritualawakeningprocess.com. Today I really want to talk about the problems with constantly seeking meaning. Meaning is a construct of our intellectual minds, and we're so used to it in Western culture as kind of being a means of connecting with others and understanding our world that we don't realize that it's made up. Ideas and beliefs are inherently made up. The good ones point to real phenomena, like the idea of gravity, which, if you actually listen to some interesting videos about it, scientists actually don't really know what it is. They know qualities of gravity, but they don't actually know what it is. This is often very surprising for something that's so prevalent and right here in our everyday life that we don't actually know what it is. But the idea of gravity, right, is a way to understand something that's arising in life and to talk about it and to share around it. So that type of a belief is useful. And because we have a shared language around that belief of gravity, we can launch rockets into space and safely land, planes. And that to me is always kind of amazing part. It's like getting things up, I'm not as not as surprised that we can do that, but getting it down safely, that to me is amazing. And so, these types of beliefs and ideas that we use can be very functional. But a lot of what happens is we're kind of creating dysfunctional beliefs. And a lot of that ends up in what we create as meaning for who am I? Who am I is a very powerful question. When we dissolve more deeply into ourselves, we really see the truth of it. And we see a truth that's kind of beyond words. We can put words around it, but that presence, that reality of who we really are is beyond those words. And it's really important to understand the limitations of words and not to get stuck holding on to them. Holding on to those ideas and onto those beliefs causes immense pain because they usually don't relate accurately to life. There's too often there are wars that are started because people have differing sets of ideas of what they want. And from that conflict of belief, of things that, ultimately don't exist if those electrical synapses aren't firing in our heads, cause people great harm. We cause each other great harm because of our beliefs. And we can get really stuck on a more subtle level of harm, but we can really stuck on our spiritual paths, constantly seeking meaning. What does this mean? What does that mean? What does this mean? Let it go. A lot of people don't want to hear this. And it starts to make people feel really uncomfortable to move into this space and say, well, there's no meaning here. And it's kind of funny that the ego will kind of create a negative non-meaning meaning, right? Where it starts to say, well, if everything is meaningless, which is, in saying that, is kind of a meaning itself because we're still talking about it. We're still thinking about it. That's a belief. And then it can lead towards these kind of nihilist ideas like, well, nothing's worthwhile. I can do whatever I want. And that's the ego to me having a big fit. It's saying, well, because I can't play with my toys the way I want to play with them, I'm going to just knock over all the toys. And I was like, well, that's not any better. Instead of letting the ego go into that sort of tantrum of, I want to have meaning, I want to have this purpose, this idea of myself, step behind it and start to look at what it's hiding. Because usually when you do that, you'll find a lot of constant searching for meaning and creating beliefs about all these different things is a way to hide a lot of insecurity. Oh, it's hiding a lot of fear back there. And that is important work to do. As many of you know, I'm very, very strong on the concept, and as a concept, of doing inner work because it helps us to break down these concepts. So this, to me, I think could be a functional belief, that it helps you to go inwards, to delve into these things that are being hidden in our attempt to wallpaper the whole world with ideas. And so it's usually actually a very good thing that people start to feel uncomfortable when you start to take meaning away. But instead of reacting in some sort of way, we learn to breathe and relax into it. Say, okay, so what is this fear about? Nothing's changed in my physical reality by not having a meaning or a purpose. Purpose is such a problematic issue for a lot of people. Right? Because purpose is another way where we can hide our insecurities, whatever they may be, not feeling good enough, not feeling worthy, feeling unwanted or abandoned. Like there's a lot of different things that get buried and hidden by that idea. And so we focus ourselves towards something external to try and fill this internal void, but that doesn't work. We have to go inside. When we go inside and start to face these insecurities, then we can engage with them. We can engage with the real problem. The problem isn't that people don't have purpose. The problem is that there is a whole load of fear and pain in people that they don't want to deal with. And we see this all the time in all the different ways people self-medicate through work and drugs and alcohol and sex and adventure seeking, just constantly trying to look to the external world to fill this hole and to mask these insecurities. So instead of doing all that, which doesn't work anyway, go towards the insecurity. Go towards the person and the ideas that are being created by that ego person inside. And say, why do I need purpose? Why do I have to give a label to this other thing? Why do I have to judge these things? What is stopping me from just being here and being with myself? And so we really do see that the constantly seeking meaning and creating all sorts of these beliefs is just another form of self-medication. It is just another way we try to mask the deeper pains that we don't want to deal with because they're not comfortable. But as the old saying goes, what you resist persists. And it's worse than that, because what you resist will define you. That pain inside defines you. If you step on a thorn and you don't go to take care of that thorn, and that pain stays in your left foot, you're going to compensate. And that will start to stress the right side of your body in a certain way. And it may start to give you hip pains and back pains and all these other different pains start to rise up out of it. And so you start to make adjustments. Now you're living your life on crutches, right? Metaphorically speaking, right? All these different ways that you start to adjust as opposed to going towards that initial pain. So when we go towards that initial pain, a lot of the need for any kind of meaning goes away. The more we're at peace with just being as we are, you're not constructing meaning in those moments. Any of you have had a spiritual awakening or a powerful spiritual opening, you're not constructing meaning in those moments. You're just finally allowing yourself to be here. Anytime your mind decides to run off, try to create more meaning, try to say this is that, try to get things, turn the mirror back around. Ask yourself, why am I creating this meaning? What am I trying to get and why? Question the answers that come next, because usually our initial answers are just pre-programmed. It's just our ego's answering machine telling us back what we were used to telling ourselves. We have to be sincere in this inner work to really delve into, to really get to the bottom of it. But as you do and you let these things go, you can just be here. And that doesn't require any meaning at all. I hope these thoughts are helpful. Once again, my name is Jim Tolles. You can find me at spiritualawakeningprocess.com. And if any of you are moved to work with me, feel free to reach out through my contact form. Take care, everyone.